everybody, Mike Lawson here. We are joined by Mr. Lee Fogle, CEO of Duke University Federal Credit Union. How's it going, Lee?
Going great, going great.
You have a little bit of good news to talk about today. You are retiring after a very successful career in the credit union industry. And before we dive into it, how long have you been CEO of Duke University Federal Credit Union?
Been at Duke for 18 years as CEO. I've been with credit unions for 37 years.
Okay.
So I've been a CEO for a little over 30.
So now let's dive into a little bit of a philosophical stuff here. What are a couple of key lessons that you've learned over the years that makes a credit union successful?
Well, that's a great question. I guess I've always been very traditional about credit unions, and I think maybe because of the length of time and where I started. So I think what makes it successful, I think you have to stay at least in the close proximity of your roots. We talk member service. The question is, do we really deliver member service? Who comes first?
Yep.
And I think to make a successful credit union, I don't think we're going to be very good banks if we ever end up that way. I think to be a successful credit union, you have to be what we say we are, which is member focused, but then you have to question yourself often. I know sitting in this chair as CEO, I'm not around the members that much, and so I've got to be sure that I'm on the right track with what the needs and wants are, so I can be sure that the board's informed. I walk around at least weekly. I'd like to think more than that, and just go to where the action is and say, how's it going? What can I do for you? And often you'll get suggestions, you'll get thoughts, but you'll also get an indicator of really what is happening, what is the philosophy of the individual. Will show right through. It'll say, wow, you wouldn't believe the member I've just had in here, what we're able to do. So I think very often those good news stories, but then again, I'm in the position I'm going to get the bad news stories sometimes. And I think how we deal with those members that are upset with us means an awful lot. I learn a lot when that occurs. It gives me an opportunity to interface again with the staff. And I go to the lobby. I want to see what's happening. I want to walk through the call center. I want to see what's happening, not from a spying point of view, but just what am I hearing, and are there questions that we need to be asking ourselves? You got to stay in touch.
What works and what doesn't as far as managing people to keep the members happy?
Over the years, I have discovered a few things, and one thing I discovered is that your staff doesn't care what you know. They assume you're CEO, you know something, been around, you're where you are, so they don't care what you know. They want to know that you care about them. So just kind of a little reversal there of that no word. They want to know that you care about them and you care about the members. And I think it's back to the previous question, that walking around and listening, and then like to emphasize listening. Sometimes we do too much talking, and I think we gotta, well, they say you got 2 ears and 1 mouth. That tells me I better listen twice as much as I talk. I serve our employees so they can serve our members. That's a great way that you put it there, and I say that, and I say often, you're talking to the staff. You're where the rubber meets the road.
Yeah. Switch gears a little bit. Is there an effective way to tell the credit union story these days? If so, what is it?
I'm really convinced the way you tell the story is one member at a time.
Yep.
If that member is satisfied, if they are happy with what they've received here, they're going to go and say that to someone somewhere that is probably going to be in your membership, because we're around who we work with all the time, and particularly since we're a single sponsor credit union, I think our name goes up and down the halls and up and down the hospital corridors much faster than we could ever get it there any other way.
I think you're right.
Yeah, it's back to the word of mouth.
Over the years, what have you found that are the most effective drivers of growth for your credit union?
Well, I think that when we talk about growth, I think we have to remember that our members don't care if we grow or not. They're just they want to know what are you going to do for them. So one of the big drivers, back to the same theme, which would be member service, one member at a time.
Mm-hmm.
I think you also have to be sure that you have the right products and the right loans, the right savings vehicles, and all the right pieces nowadays. At least here it's technology, and are you staying up? Because I think whereas we have to remain very member focused and service focused, the whole idea of service is changing. I think it's changing from one of maybe so much face to face to being able to resolve issues very quickly. When my debit card doesn't work, that's the largest thing in the world to me. Mm-hmm. And I need to talk to someone right now that can fix it. So I think those moments of truth like that are going to come more and more important. So I think it's back to that reputation, but also about having the products that our members need. Sometimes we kind of jump on the bandwagon. This is what the big bank is advertising. Mm-hmm. Let's go get it. Well, what if our members don't need it?
Exactly.
So let's be sure that we're in touch, that we do surveys, and we do understand what it is that they need from us, and then we go out and ask questions. So I think you have to create that vision. I think you have to create, I believe in strategic growth. I believe in growing the organization internally, and therefore it will grow externally. I believe it's what you present. I think it's your reputation. But then again, when people come here and they want to use the Duke University Credit Union, it's what they see. And you may only get one time. They're going to come in and they're going to sit with your member service people, and that's your opportunity. So you have to have the right products, you have to have the right people, you have to have the right, overused word, culture, you have to have the right stuff that a member see that first time. Yep. If they don't see it, they may not be back.
Do you think being like a university-based credit union, does that have any challenges or advantages maybe? Because you sounds like you really have a captive audience and you can get the message to them pretty quickly and easily, but there may be a double-edged sword there.
Well, you're right, double-edged sword, because we're Duke. And so therefore we better be like Duke. Yeah. And better be at the level of what Duke provides. So I think the high expectations that you have to live up to the Duke standards, I can't say that's a disadvantage, but it sure keeps you on your toes, and you are somewhat then locked into the Duke way of thinking. Yep. We like to say there's the right way and the wrong way, then the Duke way. So we better do it the Duke way.
Exactly. What types of advice do you have for folks for the kind of the new blood coming into the position?
I think rule number one is stick around other CEOs. They're your trainers. They're your support group. So many good ideas. A CEO's position can be somewhat lonely. Where do you reach out? Where do you can't go to your board and say, look, I'm really having issues here, tell me what to do. Mm-hmm. That's just not what your high expectations of you. Right. You can always call a fellow CEO and you can say, what are you doing about so-and-so? This is a real concern for me. Or what strategy are you looking at for this? And it's been neat. Even today, talking to a fellow CEO at a major university not too far away, and have been emailing back and forth, and that's just where I learned. So rule number one is be real sure that you have that network of people that do what you do. Mm-hmm. The second thing is don't be in a hurry. I think nowadays if you get in a hurry you can make a lot of mistakes. Think it through, get it on paper, think it through. Write it again, think it through, share it with your staff. Whatever you're doing, just take your time, because the world's moving by, and I know that our world, and credit unions, moving in a hurry too, but we just better not rush, because I think we can make mistakes. Another thing is read everything you can get your hands on. I spent a lot of time during the day on the PC, reading whatever I can, or Googling this or that. It's just so nice to have something like that. But there's all kinds of information about our whole industry and what others are doing, and I think videos like you're doing here, they're just information, but you got to go find it. It's just not going to come to you, and sometimes you think you're too busy. Don't be hard-headed. I guess there's a stereotypical CEO that's hard-headed, do it my way. That worked 50 years ago, will not work today. And I think listening and taking it all in is so important nowadays. And decision making shouldn't be just you, it needs to be the whole organization.
What are your thoughts on the future of credit unions? I mean, you talked about how things have changed dramatically from 50 years ago to now, and how complex it is. What's going to happen 10, 20 years from now? Where do you see the future of this industry going?
I think the 3 or 4 issues that we're going to have to resolve. One of those, this whole regulatory climate is big. I think the generation change is, people like me are retiring. Who are you going to replace me with? What kind of member is going to come along behind me that maybe wants to borrow right now when we need loans? So I think there are lots of issues, but there were issues 15, 20 years ago. I never forget the early 80s when we were paying 15% on CDs and earning about 5% on our loans. So we got through that, through this. It will be better and stronger for it as long as we stick together with it. I think we're going to be something to behold. So I got my eye out. I'm not, people think you go off to this retiree heaven and you never show your face again. But I'm invested in credit unions, so I'm looking forward to seeing what happens and where we go, and I think it's going to be good.